Hey, what's good? You're talking to a girl from the hood. Yeah, I got a little bit of sense, and I'm looking for a man that can be my fresh prince. I've been working hard trying to see just who I am. Trying to use my voice, learning how to take a stand. Understanding what's important, who needs help, who needs me. Giving meaning to my people and awareness to the streets. I empower, I encourage, I educate, it's a need. I'ma put y'all up on game, all you gotta do is take heed. Entertain you for an hour, you laugh and you might cry. I'ma always be transparent and I'll never tell a lie. So come along and join me. I have things to discuss. You're following your girl who found her purpose. You're following your girl who found her purpose. Hey, hey. You're following your girl who found her purpose. Hey, hello everybody. Thank you for joining me for another episode of She Who Found Her Purpose. I want to welcome you back. I had to do it on Thursday night tonight. I know normally we're on Wednesdays, so I want to thank you for bearing with me. My guest that I have on here tonight, this was the only time he could be available. I was hoping it would be him and his wife, but unfortunately, it will just be him tonight. So we're going to give him all the questions and ask him everything, and hopefully he will come back later and bring his wife on. But once again, tonight we just have him. So before I get started, I just want to say that I'm sending a lot of love out right now. You know, it's the holidays. I know a lot of individuals may not have their families or just maybe struggling because of the pandemic. So I always want to send hugs and kisses out and good vibes before I start any show. That's something I want to start doing because I want to make sure that you guys know that you are loved, you know, that there's still positivity out there, and that we're going to make sure everybody feel it. So without further ado, because you know tonight we're talking about interracial relationships, what that looks like. We're going to try to ask all kind of questions that we can possibly ask. Hopefully this individual will answer all of the questions that we have. But I'm going to bring on my guest. This gentleman, I haven't known him that long, but I've known him long enough to know that he loves his wife, and you know it's a serious connection. I don't know how that happened. I don't know, you know, why that happened. I'm not questioning why that happened, but as a black woman, you know, we always ask, like, you know, how did you get into that? You know, how did you start dating outside of your race? Because you see that a lot, but we don't get to ask these questions. So I'm gonna bring this gentleman on. His name is Melvin. Hey, Melvin, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
Nothing, nothing. I thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for being on my show. You know, I really appreciate you.
I got
Um,
you. You know that, Linnell.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and especially because I know that you're transparent. Well, about some things, you know, I don't know how transparent you're gonna be tonight, but we're gonna see.
Okay. Okay.
Because you know, on this show, we welcome you being you.
Yeah.
We welcome honesty. And we welcome whatever you bring in, because it's not about judgments or anything. This is a safe space. And this is just a place where we all trying to learn. You
Well,
know what I'm saying?
I'm always gonna be me. I can't be nothing but me. So
And that's all I can ask for. That's why I wanted you on here. We need real people on real shows. And that's what this is. This is a real show.
for sure. For sure.
So you are in a interracial marriage. It's not just a relationship, it is a marriage, correct?
Absolutely. We've been married for 18 years. We've been together for a total of 22.
Woo! 18 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all been together 22, married 18.
Yeah. So we dated for about 4 years. Yeah.
Okay, okay. How did you guys meet?
It's funny you say that. You know, everybody says you can't find love in the club. Well, that's exactly what I did. Um, we met at a club in Long Beach
Okay.
called Live Bait. And I remember specifically it was Halloween night. And, everybody had their costumes.
Mm,
I didn't have a costume that night.
okay,
She
you just
didn't.
went in there.
Uh-huh. She didn't have a costume that night. And
Okay.
I remember when I first saw her, um, she was out there. She was kind of dancing. They had these little go-go things. I remember Power 106 was there, and she used to work for the street team for Power 106 back then. So she was up on the stage doing her thing, and I remember I spotted her, and it just so happens there was a little ramp, and as I was walking down the ramp, I was actually as I was walking up the ramp, she was walking down the ramp, and we bumped into to each other, and she asked me if I wanted to dance, and the rest was history.
Okay. All right. So, were you attracted to her because she was bold enough to ask you to dance, or were you attracted to her because she had on her little go-go stuff and her body was
So
banging, or
she wasn't, she didn't have the little go-go outfit on. She just had some jeans and
I
some
mean,
high
you can
heels.
still see a banging body in some
Oh
jeans.
yeah, oh yeah, those hips are what got me. My wife is Mexican, by the way. People, this is an interracial relationship, so let me specify that my wife is Mexican, and
Yes.
so yeah, I mean, I think our conversation is what hit it off. I remember we did our first dance, and some booty song came on, um, and then we actually it was Nocturnal.
Okay.
Nocturnal was the song. I remember that because that's our little song. Whenever that come on, it brings us back to the day we met. So the conversation is what got me. You know, she was the first woman to ask if she could buy me a drink, and
Mm,
so this 22 years ago. I'm 44 now. She's 43. So
okay.
she asked me to buy if she could buy me a drink, and I remember telling her, my grandfather would turn over in his grave if I let you buy me this drink. Not to mention, I had
Okay.
just got paid. I had a pocket full of money, and
Right.
was still living with mom and dad, so I wasn't paying no bills. So my whole check went to me. So I
Yeah.
flossed on it like, you know. So yeah, I remember buying her a drink, and my homeboy was with me, and him. I remember he said, "I'll take that drink," and she bought him one, but I paid her back for it.
Mm. You
Yeah,
look at that. So somebody took the drink, and it's just like, and some men are like that. So it's
yeah,
good that you weren't like that, and it's rare. I don't want to say it's rare to find men like you because there are
uh-huh,
probably men out there like you, but I
uh-huh.
have not seen a lot of men like you that,
I mean,
'cause a lot of men gonna take that drink.
yeah, yeah. A lot of men are gonna take that drink,
Yeah,
but
especially in this day and age.
uh, I grew up in a home with five sisters.
Mm,
My father was always there. I mean, he took care of my mom when she was sick. So that chivalry has always been instilled in me. You know,
right,
yeah, my dad would have had a heart attack if I let her buy me that drink.
right, right.
Yeah,
And that makes sense. I mean, yeah. I mean, you still have that foundation, and it's
uh-huh.
good that you have been able to bring that into your marriage, into your relationships, and that's apparently how you were able to date her or court her and get her to
Yeah,
marry.
yeah. I mean, we went on a couple dates after that. I remember our first kiss was at that club, and we went on a couple dates after that. It took a little bit of time for us to get together because of my work schedule at the time.
Mhm.
But after 2 or 3 dates, man, it was it. It was it.
So you said that first kiss was at that club. So was it y'all kept going back to that club because that was y'all club, or
You know what? We have never been back to that club together since we've been together.
uh,
Because she actually, she told me she wasn't even planning on going out that night. She had just gotten out of a relationship, and she wasn't actually looking for anything. And
right,
I was kind of on that same page too. That was kind of the conversation we had at the bar.
right.
And I remember her ex-boyfriend was there that night. I guess he followed her to the club. He knew her sister or something, and they found out. So he showed up. And I don't know if she kissed me to make him jealous or kissed me because she wanted to kiss me, but
Oh
that was the kiss.
wow.
That was the
Right.
kiss. Again, that's 22 years ago. So,
Mm.
and I'm also the first black dude she ever dated.
Really?
Yeah, once you go black, you don't go back.
We heard that saying, but I'm glad to know that that's true. But
Yeah, but
sorry, I'm trying to make sure. Okay, all right,
you
sorry.
good.
But yes, you are. I've heard that. I've never been with anyone outside of my race.
Hmm.
So I guess for me, my question to you would be, and I don't know, it may be different for a man, I guess,
Uh-huh.
but did you feel any way not dating a black girl, or have you ever dated a black girl? Maybe I should ask that.
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
all right.
And I, like I said, I think of black women are beautiful. I still think they're beautiful. I see beautiful black women every day. I see you every day almost. So
Thank you.
nothing against black women. It was just at that time she was the one who got my heart. You know,
Hmm.
I dated several beautiful, intelligent, strong black women, and I was young at the time. So like I said, I'm 44 now. You know, um, we've been together for 22 years, so you do the math. I ain't really had time to date anyone else. You know what I
Right,
mean? I've been
right.
I've been
Yeah,
in I've been in a relationship for the better half of my adult life. You
yeah.
know,
Do
but
you? I'm not gonna ask if you regret that. Obviously, you're married, and so I
mhm.
don't want to ask that question. But it's how do I want to put this? Okay, first of all, do you guys have children?
Yes, we have one son. That's it. He's 17. He just turned 17 in November. We just had our 18-year anniversary November 29th. So he was born November. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So
So
have
yeah,
you thought about having more children?
we have thought about it,
Hmm.
and the conclusion that we came up with was no. You know,
Okay,
the
why is
thought,
that?
the thought in the conversation. It's tough raising kids these in this day and age. It costs money. Um, it costs time and energy and devotion. And
Yes, yes.
we've talked about it, but usually around the times that we talked about having kids, um, something crazy was going on in the world. And you kind of
Mm,
you kind of think to yourself, do I want to bring another child into this?
right.
We have been pregnant, and uh,
Okay.
my my wife lost the baby. You know, um, and that happened on two occasions. So if it's meant to be, then God will give me that gift. It's not like we're using prophylactics and sexual, contraceptives or anything. I mean, we don't. So, if God wants to give me the gift, he'll give me the gift. I don't think it should be something that should be forced.
Right. And yeah, and it is a blessing. And it's
Hmm.
good that, you're thinking like that because if it's meant, it will happen, you
Yeah,
know, and if
yeah,
it's not, it won't. So yes,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, for sure, for
You
sure.
have you ever thought about maybe and this is just a question that someone has asked me previously because even though I've never dated outside my race, I thought about it.
Uh-huh.
Did you think about your children and how they would be affected by
You know,
being biracial?
no. And let me tell you a little bit about my family dynamic. And
Okay.
maybe that will help you understand how I feel about biracial relationships.
Okay.
So I have six sisters. All right.
Okay.
I have a twin sister. Actually, I have two older sisters from my father. He had a previous marriage before he met my mom.
Mhm.
I have a twin sister from my mom and dad, and then my mother also had a relationship outside the relationship he had with my father. So she had a daughter.
Okay.
Um, Later on down the line, come to find out, Pops was a Rolling Stone. Another sister pops on the scene.
Mm,
Her mother's white. Right.
okay. Okay.
And then my mother and my father adopted two sisters, two girls. Her
Okay.
name, I'm not gonna say her name, but one of them was white, and one of them was Hawaiian and Samoan.
Oh, okay. So do you think that that had a effect on you being open then maybe to relationships with women outside
You
or
know,
women that were not black?
my my babysitter was a white woman. Uh, I was born in Sacramento, and my babysitter was a white woman. So I never actually looked at people like they were different races. I never really saw people like that when I was growing up. I was around everybody. My mother and father had a plethora of friends. My
Oh, and you
older,
know what? I'm gonna crack a joke right now because you just said plethora. So I know for a fact you ain't grow up in no. I mean, I ain't gonna say you didn't grow up in the hood because that's being judgmental. But just
uh,
just the verbiage you use and everything, you're very well
uh,
rounded. And
uh,
for me, just even seeing that, and of course I know you, but
yeah,
um, that to me is why maybe not saying that because it's a lot of hood guys
uh-huh,
are in interracial relationships as well.
uh-huh. But
But
did you grow up
maybe
in the hood?
I did. Yeah,
And you know the word plethora.
I do.
So so there, my point made.
Point is made, and that's my, and I don't look probably like I grew up in the hood. I
Hmm.
can talk, one way, like we've talked about before, code switching.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? I can look one
yeah.
way
Uh-huh.
one day and look another way another day and talk
Uh,
one way
we
one
we
minute
fun-
and the next minute switch.
we function in the environment that we're in, and we're adaptable. And that's those are survival techniques that you can only get from the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes, I
Yeah,
agree. I
yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Do
So like I
you?
was
Oh, go ahead.
going, no, like I was saying, my parents, had me around a lot of different cultures.
Mhm.
So um, I really didn't know like what racism was until I experienced it. And I didn't. I remember the first time I experienced racism was I think I was in elementary school. I think I was in the third third or fourth grade, and my teacher, told my mother that he's just a little nappy headed heathen, you
Mm,
know, um, and that's the first time my mother sat down and told me, why my teacher said what she said was because she was a racist, and
right.
that's when I learned about it. But I see people for who they are. I just thought it was regular. Yeah, of course, it's okay. People come in different colors.
Uh-oh. I think he froze up, y'all.
We can fix the freeze.
Uh-oh, you back?
Yeah, I'm fixing the freeze. I guess I didn't know I froze up until you said I froze up. Okay,
Oh,
I'm back. Sorry
okay.
about that, you guys. Um, so like I said, I didn't know what racism was. So when I started looking at girls when I was a kid, I remember I had a crush on this girl. I'm not gonna say her name, but she was Mexican. I remember I had another crush on this girl. She was just a chocolate little coffee thing. This is elementary school. Um, you know, her name is Shantae. Don't tell nobody I said that. So like I said, that's I don't look at race like that. Now, how other people may look at me, that's where the struggles come in.
Right.
Dealing with other people and their feelings. You know what I mean?
Yes. Did you guys come up against a lot of drama or animosity because you guys had started dating and maybe even at the club that you were at? Was it predominantly black or was it a mixed crowd or did you ever
It
get
was
any pushback in the beginning?
at the very beginning. I didn't even know that we were going to be together. But at the club, no. I live in Long Beach. Long Beach is a very eclectic city.
Mhm.
We got a little bit of everything.
Right.
Um, the high school I went to was very eclectic, a little bit of everything. And
Okay.
then just the foundation that I was taught coming up. I'm actually one of the original Freedom Riders. I don't know if you guys ever seen the Freedom Rider movie with
Yes.
Hillary Swank. Well,
Mm,
I'm actually one of those people. So
okay,
when
I
I
didn't know that.
but that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But you know, being a Freedom Rider, that tolerance was something that we was instilled in us,
Right.
and to be someone who doesn't see color is a lifestyle. And one
Yeah.
of the things that I learned being a freedom rider is that everyone's talking about tolerance and tolerance and tolerance. Well, listen, I don't want to be tolerated. You tolerate um, bad little children. You know what I mean?
Right.
You you
Yes.
you you tolerate your coworkers, but as a human being, um, and you judging me off my color, I don't need you to tolerate me. What I
Yeah.
need you to do is see that I'm just as equal as you. Um, I have just as much strength and just as many weaknesses as you.
Right.
And when I get cut, we bleed red, and
Yeah.
that's basically it. You know,
Yes. I like that. Wow. That was heartfelt. I wasn't expecting that.
that's funny.
So even so with your son, has he gone through anything being biracial?
Um, I think he's been affected. Um, because people don't know what he is. You know what I mean? He's got light skin, but he's got curly hair. He got that good hair, the kind of
Right.
hair where you ain't got to put a relaxer in it. You
Right.
know,
Marvinette
but
said, "Hey y'all, hey Marvinette."
so when you see him, some people see him as black.
Right.
Actually, most people see him as black. They don't see him as Mexican. You
Mm,
know, but he takes a lot of pride in his Mexican side,
right.
and he has had that struggle because like I said, we grew up. He grew up in the hood, in the Scottsdale projects, in Carson. So there was a lot of attention between the blacks and the Mexicans.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so he had black friends and he had Mexican friends, but he couldn't have them at the same time. You see what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
of the tension, and not so much of because of the kids, but because of their parents.
Right.
So those were some of the struggles he had to deal with.
Marvinette said that's true. They pigeonhole us mixed kids.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and you'll hear somebody talking, in a derogative nature to about Mexicans with his black friends, and then he'll be hanging out with his Mexican friends and hear them say some derogatory stuff, and he's just kind of
Right.
stuck in the middle, and that's his struggle. Because
Yeah.
yes, I taught him to stand up for your culture. Like
Hmm.
if you hear somebody say something bad about Mexican, like, hey man, don't say that. My mother is Mexican. Don't say that.
Right.
And vice versa.
Okay. So, I mean, is this maybe I should assume once again, is this your first marriage?
This is my only marriage. Yes.
Your only marriage. This is your forever marriage.
You know, yes. I don't plan on leaving my wife. I don't. There's no other woman that could replace her.
That's what I'm
But
talking about. That's what you're
but
supposed to do.
22 years is a long time to be with someone. So
Yeah.
there was definitely struggles, and I am guilty of infidelity. You know
What?
what I mean?
You better
Well,
shut your mouth.
like I said, we've been together for 22 years. And yeah, you know,
I didn't
but
know that.
we moved through that. We moved through that. We got together. I was young. I was in my 20s when we got
Right.
married. I think I was 24, 20, 23, 24. Actually, 24, 25 when we got married. She
Okay.
was young. So imagine yourself how much growing you did between the age of 18 to 30,
Right.
and you weren't the same person as you are at 21, 22 as you are when you're 30, 32. So
Right.
we grew together, and I guess how we got through it is because we learn to grow together and not grow apart. And
Yes. Okay. See. Oh, Marvinette says she deserves a trophy for dealing with him. Like,
she
and I'm
does.
gonna ask. You know what
She
I'm saying?
does.
Tell me if you don't want to answer. But was the girl you cheated with black?
Nah.
Okay, because
No.
I just, I just had to ask that.
No.
Okay.
No. Uh-uh.
Right.
No. But I'll also say this. Um, we did separate, right?
Okay.
And it wasn't something that she didn't know.
Okay.
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 So
So,
I
so
actually moved out for like a year and a half.
got it. Okay. So it wasn't that you guys were still together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was, so let me say this. I did step out on my marriage. And for a moment there, I'm just trying to keep it under wraps. But obviously it came out. I'm not about to get into the details of how it came out.
Right. Right.
But I did move out for a while. But um I'll, I'll give you a little bit more of those tidbits in a second. But I didn't abandon my wife and my child. I was still paying their rent, still making sure the car note was paid,
Right.
uh, all that good stuff. You
Yeah.
know.
As you should, and as you should. And as her husband and her father.
Hmm.
Ooh, this must be a touchy subject. You threw that back. Okay.
Yeah, that was touch the nerve.
That was deep.
But again, like I said, we still together though. So the
Yes.
question, is how do you get through that?
Yes. How did you get through that?
Um, the funny thing about me and my wife separating, my wife almost became the other girl, you know.
Wait,
So
wait.
I
Say that again.
so I think when I stepped out, you know, I would still see my wife. I'd see her weekly, 3 or 4 times a week. But it almost got to the point where my wife was
Was
the
the
other
side
girl.
piece.
It was the side piece.
You
And
know
then
what?
hold on, listen, all the things that guys, we have our little fantasies, and and
Uh-huh.
the side, and we get caught up with the side piece because that's what she do. You know what I mean?
True.
But
True.
then after a while, like I said, my wife became the side piece.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that I wanted on the side piece, my wife was that. You know,
So
it
then you
got
was
to
interested in her again.
hmm and it got to the point where she was sneaking over, like So I think that's when we got back together. You know,
Okay, so you brought the fire back into the relationship. That's what you needed. You needed that time apart to appreciate one another.
there you go. Absolutely, that is the
Okay.
best way to describe it.
Yes. Marvinette said, "Does anybody ever give you shit about not dating or marrying a black woman?"
Um, this is probably the most shit I've ever gotten about it right now. Yeah, you know, um, of course, my wife gets it the most. We'd be at the grocery store, and
Mhm.
then a sister come up and look at it like, okay, what they say, okay, Puffy and J Lo, that's
Oh, really?
yeah, oh yeah, we done got Puffy and J Lo against her. Look at Miss wanna be Puffy and J Lo over there. You know, I've had sisters come up to my wife and like, why y'all keep taking our men? Why y'all always taking the good ones? I see
So they
y'all.
really keep, because I've heard of that, but I've never actually known anybody to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Women have taken offense,
Mm,
and more black women than black men. Now,
mm,
let's turn the tables, because my wife is Mexican, so she has Mexican recipes, and
right,
in order to get those ingredients, you gotta go to the Mexican store.
right.
So we be up at Noticias, or depending on what neighborhood you in. Superior Market is the Mexican place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'll get dirty looks from Mexican men, and when
Mm.
you know, and ooh, yeah, they really don't like seeing us together. And it's almost gotten so bad that the customer service that I got there was less than desirable because I was a black man dating a Mexican woman.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. You know
And
what?
the
And
coke.
I've never thought about that. We
Mhm.
always think about our side, and like you said, I know women that feel like, yeah, they are taking our men or, whatever. He was too weak, and that's why he went over there type situation. And you don't think about what the other individual may be going through. Like you said, you going to just superior and
Yeah.
having those experiences and people looking at you crazy or possibly following you around or cussing you out
Uh huh.
the same way your wife getting all that. And
Yeah.
Marvinette said, yep, they used to do her mom and dad the same way.
Yeah. I remember I was driving. This was when we were before we got married. I had a Mercedes 190E, and
Mm.
I had her brother in the back, her little brother. And back then, excuse me, back then, he used to love hip hop and stuff. So he used to wear his little do rag. He want to roll with me. So I remember we're driving down the street, and we got pulled over, and the cop pulled me and her little brother out of the street and then pulled my wife to the side and asked her if she was okay. Almost as if we were kidnapping her or something like that.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, I'll never forget that. That was,
Wow.
yeah. Excuse me for a second. I need to turn this up a little bit. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So,
Um, that
yeah, we
is
definitely,
horrible. And once again, that's something that you see on TV. You don't never think that. I mean, of course, we know we get pulled over. We know we got to be careful. But being that specific with your situation, like, you got your girlfriend in the car, you got
yeah,
somebody else in the car, and they think y'all kidnapping her because y'all black and she not.
yeah, yeah,
That stuff you
definitely.
see on TV or,
Hmm.
hear about, like, these are the scenarios you potentially can get in,
I mean,
not
this is
really thinking that
real
is
life every day. And
exactly, yeah.
people be thinking you see that on TV. When you see it on TV, that means they got it from somewhere.
Yeah,
Television is just um life imitating life. That's all that is. So
that's
it's real
true.
out here, man. Racism is real. Um, Police injustice is real, and
Yeah,
you
it's all
experience that
real.
being in interracial relationships.
Yeah. Well, I have some statistics right here. I always got to bring statistics because I was looking and I'm like, okay, we talking about interracial relationships in comparison to, I guess, same race relationships. They were stating that interracial relationships are better and they kind of last a little longer. And there's a 17% rate that you'll stay together rather than getting divorced. And I was like, wow, okay.
Uh huh.
That's different and new, but it's interesting because I think right now, because so much is going on in the world, and like you spoke about tolerance and just, being human, and with all these different populations popping up all
Yeah,
over the world, I think now more so than ever, we are more tolerant, or we want to be, or we're trying to be.
we're trying to be, but I
Yes.
think almost right now, you would think that we were moving towards something.
Hmm.
When Barack Obama got elected, for
Right.
black people, that was a historic thing. Okay, be moving towards
Hmm.
something. But it
Right.
almost seems as if the closer we think we moving towards something, the further apart we become.
Yes.
And it seems that racism is even more prevalent now than it was back in the Jim Crow days. The only difference is it's blatant. You
Yes.
know, that's the
Definitely.
difference.
Yeah. It's
Before a white
because
man will smile in your face and call you the N word behind your back.
right.
Now he'll just call you the N word to your face.
To your face, yeah. And then
Yeah.
it's a
So.
lot of that. It's white fragility, but I like to also tell people it's black fragility as well. And well, Marvinette said the more things change, the more things stay the same. Definitely. And what I mean by white fragility, if you guys don't know what that is, that's when an individual will use their privilege to their benefit. You know,
Hmm.
either they'll
Karen.
try to
Karens.
make you feel sorry. What'd you say?
I said those Karens out there.
Exactly. Yes, those Karens out there. But in that same token, when you just said it seems like we get further apart the more advanced we or the more evolved we get.
Uh-huh.
Also, there's black fragility, and I think a lot of people lose that because what I think of as black fragility is just because I have a record and there are different things that contribute to the person that I am. There are a lot of individuals who don't have those barriers,
Hmm.
and so that right there is black fragility because a
Uh-huh.
lot of the time they feel like they have it bad. And I'm not saying that I necessarily have it bad, but I've had a lot of hurdles that I've had to overcome. And there are a lot of people who didn't have to overcome those hurdles, but will look at someone bad just
Hmm.
because of their past, and
Well,
judgments.
I I think um, being black, this is the thing. When you look at a white person, you
Hmm.
know, and they're in a job interview, and you look at them, they don't necessarily assume that this person has been in jail until you ask them,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
But when, you know, they look at a black person, they automatically assume they've been in jail until you tell them you haven't. That's
Yes.
that is the difference.
Yes.
Black fragility or white fragility aside, and to be honest, fragility, I just learned that word today, thanks to you. Um, but
You're welcome.
when
No.
when you look at it, those are the differences of your race. Those are the reality that we live in, and the one thing that we need to do as you know as a black race, especially someone who's dating a Hispanic woman, is when people see us, not give them the impression, you already got that mark on your skin saying, okay, I got my hoodie on and I got my
Mhm.
cap on, but the reason I wear this is because it's comfortable, because I'm in
Right.
a tie all day.
Yes.
I look like a broke lawyer every day, but and when I'm walking through the streets in the area that I live in, I work in Watts. And I work in probably one of the toughest neighborhoods in all of Los Angeles,
Hmm.
so when I walk with my tie on and, I have my slacks, I can freely walk up and down that street, from office to office, and I won't get hassled.
Right.
People won't look at me funny, and people, other races look at me, hey, hello, sir, hello.
Hmm.
But when I get into my comfortable sweats, put my hat on because I ain't got no hair, so it's cold. And if I wore the same outfit walking up and down the street, it would be a different situation. You know,
Definitely, they're gonna view you a different way,
yeah,
especially because of your build, like your darker skin. Like you said, you put a hat on and a hoodie. You're a big guy out there walking the streets. They're gonna wonder where you going, where you coming from,
yeah,
why you out here,
yeah.
why
You
are you
know,
walking?
yeah. I got to be careful on casual Fridays walking to the
Right?
other offices. I got to
Mhm.
be aware of what I'm wearing on
Yeah.
casual Fridays and where I'm gonna travel.
Right.
Because and I know we joke around with that, and we laugh a little bit, but that's
But it's
serious.
serious.
It's
Yeah.
real serious. Like in the area I live in, if I wear this blue cap and walk across the street to walk across Lancet, and someone sees me that doesn't recognize me, it might even be someone who sees me every day, but they see me in that tie,
Right.
but they don't recognize me when I got my ball cap on. And there's a possibility I might get stopped and drew down on.
Right.
That's the reality of it.
It is.
And I
Marvinette
get that
said,
all. Yeah,
I can't tell you how many times I've been at a medical appointment with my mom and someone has asked me, are you her caretaker helper? Instead of asking if we're related.
yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
And those are the things. That's why I mean, I know that you have touched on this, but just even with you guys going places, that's why it's scary, I guess, or for me, I guess it would be scary to be in that relationship knowing that every time we go out, we potentially will be approached or could be approached by somebody, whether it be you, your wife, somebody's gonna have a problem when we don't know who gonna have it this day, but we just gotta be prepared. Or we just gotta be on high alert just in case. You know what I mean? Do you feel
You
that way?
know, I I don't. And
Okay,
I
that's good.
and the reason I don't feel that way is because I don't want to live that way.
Yes.
You
Okay.
know, I don't want to be hindered by taking my wife out to a nice restaurant, or maybe going to the movies, or even just walking the boardwalk
Right.
with the thought in my mind that I have that to worry about. And the
That's
reason
good.
why is because I have so many other things to worry about.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
regular people don't bother me.
Hmm.
It's the police, you know,
Right.
that
Yes.
bother me. You know, I think
Mm.
I got a personality. If you get to talk to me, despite what race you are, um, I think you might like me. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people who don't, but
Right.
but you might like me.
There's gonna be some
You
people
know,
that don't. So hey.
yeah, yeah. But that's just the reality we live in. And being in an interracial relationship, you know, we deal with it from both sides.
Right. Right.
Because
Yes.
my wife is, she really loves her culture. You
Yes.
know, like our house is kind of split. Like my whole kitchen is all Latin. We
Uh-huh.
got Frida up on the walls in our kitchen, and then
Okay.
when you go into our living room, um, we have old uh, parchment paper, in frames.
Mm-hmm.
We have hieroglyphics up on the walls, and
Mm.
then in some rooms in the house, the culture is mixed. You know,
Right. Right.
um, I have this little case, and it has the Virgin Mary in it. And if you really want to get into cultures and religions, there's certain customs that my wife has. My
Right.
wife
Right.
lights candles every day. You know,
Mm.
um,
Right.
and the reason she lights the candles is because in some Latin cultures, you light that candle every day so that your loved ones will be able to find you in the darkness,
Yes.
right?
Aren't those
So,
the different colored ones that you can put
hmm
out? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. Every morning she
See,
goes
I
and lights.
think that that's awesome that you guys continue to keep both of the cultures going, especially for your son. It's good to hear too, because once again, you never know until you're in that situation or in that relationship. And I've never been,
Hmm.
and we can assume what's going on behind somebody's closed doors, but you never know. So, I mean, for me, I mean, I've never had a problem with it anyway, but I do feel like, oh, it's good to know that you're like keeping both of your memories alive and it's not canceling out the black side or canceling out the Hispanic side, or you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it's both. And so I think that's awesome.
Well, with that being said, let's take the color out of it. All right.
Hmm.
Say I was transparent and she was transparent, and we were in a relationship,
Hmm.
right? The same struggles that anyone else has in a relationship, we have. The
Right.
same moments of tenderness, the same moments of arguing,
Yes,
you
yes.
know. My wife is mad at me right now because I'm not in the house right now. Like, babe, you got home from work and you came and said nothing to me,
Now
you know.
see, and that's why
No,
time is coming
but
to an end.
no, 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 no. I didn't say that to say that. But what I'm saying is the same. Um, when the people that are married, when they get home, the same things that they go through are the same things we go through,
Right.
regardless of the fact that she's Mexican and I'm black.
Exactly.
Um, so if you take the color out of it, and like I said earlier, I told you that we separated,
Right.
and the question was, how do we stay together,
Yes.
and how'd you get through that? So
Yes.
let's roundabout back to that. Um, Me and my wife have been through some extreme struggles together, um, things that would traumatize the average person.
Hmm.
Um, Nothing about my wife is average to me.
That's what I'm
Um,
talking about.
One of the questions that was posed to me earlier today was, I think black men um, date out of their races because they can't handle strong black women.
Mm-hmm.
And um, my wife is one of the strongest women that I know.
That's
And
you better say that then.
you
You better
know,
be her biggest
I,
cheerleader.
absolutely, and I love this woman dearly. And the way that we got to where we are today, like me and my wife have we everyone be like marriage goals. We
Mm-hmm.
on those marriage goals. Me and my wife have a
Right.
routine that we keep to a T daily, weekly, monthly. I know
Yes.
I my wife doesn't work, and she doesn't work because she doesn't not have the skill to work. My wife is a very talented woman,
Right.
with a whole set of different skills. But she chose to stay home to make sure that my son wasn't running the streets like I was when I was a kid.
Right.
Made
Right.
sure, even though we were in the hood, that he was going to grow up and have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I'm proud to say my son is a straight A student. He's on the honor roll.
Yes.
He got perfect attendance. He made it through the pandemic, never missed a day on the computer. And the reason that is because of my wife.
Right.
Um, every day I get a sack lunch, and the people at my job may laugh at me every now and then because they know, what you having for lunch, Melvin? Oh, turkey sandwich. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yep.
But she gets up
Whatever
every
my
morning.
wife made, that's what you having. Whatever
That's
your
what we
wife
have.
made. Yeah.
So she'll get up every morning when the alarm clock clicks. We get up together. She in the kitchen. I'm trying to get ready for work. But when I'm done getting ready for work, my lunch bag is sitting right there. My phone is sitting on top of that. Um, my son's lunch is good. My
Mm-hmm.
man vitamins is sitting next to my coffee with a little cup of water next to my vitamins. And she gets up and she does that every day. And
Yes.
then after she take care of me, she makes sure my son get ready, make sure he get to school, make sure his lunch, make sure he picked up, make sure he's at his extracurricular activities.
Right.
So that's what she does. And like I
Yeah.
said, she works because she chooses not to. And one of the things I promised her when we got married is that when I marry you, I'm gonna always take care of you. You don't
Right.
have to worry. So if you don't have to work if you don't want to. I'm gonna
Yes.
make sure of that. So
Right.
she took me up on that, and I ain't mad. So and
As she
then
should. Look.
last but not least, um, like I said, me and my wife have been together for most of our adult life. So like I said, we started to grow apart, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm as guilty as I am of certain things. She may not be as guilty, but my wife has also had a relationship outside of our marriage. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say she cheated. We were separated. What happens when girls separate? Oh, you want to separate? Okay, you know how they do. But um, the one thing that we did do is we had a date night one night, and this was years back, maybe 10, 10 years, 9 years back. And we
Mm-hmm.
had a date night. And what we did do was put it all out on the table.
Okay.
And, you know, I told her everything that I hadn't told her. And I
Okay.
think she told me everything she hadn't told me.
Right. Right.
I'm gonna have to take her word for it.
Right.
And, there were some things that she didn't want to hear. There was also some things that I definitely didn't want to hear. I didn't want
Right.
to hear some
Right.
shit. I'm like, oh, for real? And you got to be careful about asking those questions because if you want the
Yes.
answer, you're gonna get the answers. But
Mm-hmm.
that right there made us even stronger than
Close.
what we are.
Right.
And ever since then, we've been riding on cloud nine ever since.
Okay.
Now, with
So what
that
I'm
being
hearing
said,
is
hmm
basically that you guys were transparent with one another. You
yeah,
put your trust in one another. You set your pride to the side and you made
yeah,
the decision to be
hmm
with each other and be honest and like you said, put everything on the table and say like it's all or nothing. This is
hmm
me. This is all of me. You're gonna either accept me or you not, but this is gonna be it.
now, with that being said, be careful about doing that
Yes,
because
yes.
depending
Well,
on the
yeah, because
strength
you
of your
might not want to hear
relationship,
that truth.
um, you you might not recover from that. So I
Exactly.
wouldn't recommend it to everybody.
Right, right.
But what I am saying is, if you're willing to take that chance, if you love someone, right, and you know that you have done something that will break their heart, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, that guilt that you hold on to is gonna eat you up and eat you
Mhm.
up and eat you up. And every lie that you stack on top of that lie, to stack on top of that lie becomes a mountain. And then pretty soon that mountain becomes an entire planet. That's the
Yes.
weight that's gonna be on you. But um once you release that and get that off and give the other person or your partner the option to be with you
Mhm.
based on what you did, that's when it becomes true. That's where
Yes.
love comes in.
There you
Give
go.
your partner the opportunity to make the decision to be with you based on what you did or did not do. Don't
Right.
make the decision for them. And that is
Yes.
the bottom, that's the
Definitely.
rule. That's what makes our relationship what it is. I love my wife to death. She's a ride or die. Um, that's one of the strongest women that I know besides my mother
Right.
and my grandmother and her mother. Um, a woman that you would be surprised if you just ask. You'd be surprised what you get,
Right, right. See,
you
and
know?
that was amazing. I think that was beautiful. I think it's first of all, it's going to be a great way to end on that note, but it was great that you were able to sum everything up and pretty much say, like you said, you need to be ready for what you're going to hear. Basically, you got to give and you got to give to get,
Mm.
for the most part. You got to
Yeah,
give a
yo,
little
yo,
to
you're
get
going to
a
be hurt. Listen, I'll sit here and honestly say, my ego was scarred for a second,
little.
you know?
That's what I'm saying.
And,
You got to be
I heard
careful.
some things. I heard some
Yeah.
things.
But it
And,
probably made you put things into perspective and appreciate her more.
the same reason that you love your wife and you or your girl or whomever you with and you think they sexy, so
Hmm.
does the same nigga
Right.
next to you, you
Yeah.
know? So don't
Yeah.
forget that,
Yeah.
you know? And
And they will show that attention.
mm-hmm, the
You
same little
know.
freakiness that
Yeah.
you thought, ooh, I like her. I'm gonna marry this one. She's a freak. Well, you know.
So
So,
on that note, look, so we wrapping it up. But we're gonna end it on this comment that Marvinette said. She said interracial couples have the same ups and downs as any and all couples. And that's pretty much the entire message of this. I mean, yes, we came into it talking about interracial couples. Of course, there's always questions we want to ask, especially with me being a Black woman. Of course, there's always
mhm,
questions I want to ask. But at the end of the day, I do know, and I hope everyone else knows, and I hope that Melvin has explained that interracial relationships are just like any other relationship. The same struggles that you have, the same ups and downs, the same arguments, the same enjoyments, you're going to have those. There's going to be struggles. But if you put your all into it, if you really want to be with that person, you have to be honest, you have to be open, and you got to be willing to weather the storm. And then that saying, you let something go and it's gonna come back. He showed that as well. Sometimes you gotta split up to be able to appreciate what you had. And
yeah,
if it's meant, you guys will come back together. And if y'all not, then I don't know what to tell you. You probably need to go to some marriage counseling. Like you're gonna need to get somewhere. But once again, it can be great no matter who you're with, no matter what race there are. You can be
yeah,
happy as long as they make you happy and you make them happy.
absolutely. I know you only got a few minutes left. But there's one thing we didn't touch on.
Go ahead.
Um, the parents of those
I
people.
was gonna ask you that. How were both of your parents? Were they happy? But we got off into something else. But you can go ahead and touch on that. We
So
got
real
about
quick,
5 minutes. Go ahead.
the best advice that I have is to be a you have to embrace both sides of that family.
Did
Um,
they embrace you?
my like I told you, my mom and dad grew up with a plethora of different friends, different
Mhm.
cultures. my wife's parents, her mother didn't speak English at all.
Okay.
She understood English, but she didn't speak it. She also didn't allow you to speak English in her
In
house.
her house.
So when you
Okay.
came to her house, when you speak Spanish.
Right.
So that's a lot of where I learned how to speak Spanish.
Mm.
You
Well,
know,
yes.
I've learned
And
enough
actually that
Spanish,
helped you.
you know, to get an extra dollar
Right.
on my on my pay rate for
That's
speaking
why I said
Spanish.
actually that's helping you. So thank you, mama. Shoot, look.
um, her dad, on the other hand, was a little iffy. Real quick, I'll tell you a quick story. Um, this is when we were dating. She and I just went out. She was gone for like 2 days, rolling with me. Um, and she hadn't talked to her parents, right?
Uh-huh.
She hadn't called them or nothing, so they were worried. And I remember taking her home, and I asked her, I was like, "Do you want me to go in with you? So your parents ain't tripping." So I did, and I
Uh-huh.
sat down at the kitchen table, and her dad got in my ass. He put his finger all in my face, and he gave me a drilling. But
Yeah.
later on, after we got married, her father told me, that was a test that I put you
Mm.
through to see
Okay. To see if you was
whether
gonna buck up.
what kind of man you was gonna be, if you gonna let her
Yes.
walk in there with no explanation. So eventually, her parents really embraced me. Um,
Oh, that's
her mom and dad,
awesome.
and that's because I also made the effort to, latch onto their culture,
Right,
learning
right.
to speak Spanish. Um, I'm pretty good at Spanish. Like
You are. You
you can't
very good.
curse
Don't
me,
say
you can't
pretty
curse
good.
me out
You
behind my back. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But yeah, and then my parents embraced her because of who they are and the different
Right.
cultures. So like I said, the best advice I can give for any interracial couple, that's what you want to call it, is to be able to embrace the cultures on both sides and show that you're going to make an effort to
Yes.
respect that culture. But again, like I said, if you take interracial out of it, that's the same
Just a
for
couple.
a black couple. Yeah,
Yeah.
you better. I know that's my mom, and you may not like her, but you know, respect
Yeah,
her.
same thing. That is true. Oh, thank you. I really, really appreciate you coming on the show tonight. I think that this was an amazing show because you brought a lot of insight to a lot of things. And even just about, once again, changing the narrative of how we view couples. You're just a couple. We don't
Yeah,
have to put that interracial part on there. You know what I mean? So even
yeah.
just viewing it differently as far as that. But I really, really appreciate your transparency. I learned some new stuff tonight, about you that I didn't know. So I appreciate that because I felt like, we were really able to dig
I,
deep. You gave some
I,
great
I knew.
advice.
I learned a new word too today too. I
Oh
learned
yeah,
a new word
fragility.
too. Fragility.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can talk about that at work tomorrow a little more in depth.
Okay.
But I really appreciate you. I want to thank everybody that was here on the show tonight and that engaged. And we will see you guys next week. It'll be back to Wednesday at 6 o'clock. I really appreciate you guys and have a good night.
Thank
Bye.
you from a woman who
Thank
found
you.
her purpose.
You're welcome. Thank you. And I
All
hope
right.
when I bring you on again, your wife can come.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully.
All right.
All right.
Bye.